Welcome. I'm excited to have you joining our virtual seminar. Today I'm going to focus on a topic of electrical design using SolidWorks and IIIWireworks in combination. So what I'm going to do is walk through some of the capabilities in the slides, and also we're going to show some videos as well of some of the capabilities. Some of them done by myself and some of them done by my colleagues. The first thing I'm going to focus on is cabling design using SolidWorks 3D routing. This functionality is really nice, where we have the capability of importing a from-to list from an ECAD application such as IIIWireworks and placing the connectors around our 3D design. The logic carries over, so we see nice logic lines between the connectors, and then we can use nice techniques for interconnecting them using guidelines, converting and merging them all together. We also have the capability of communicating this 3D route with manufacturing. So this bottom image here, you can see has a flattened route. So you can either do a one-to-one scale or a condensed view in order to really communicate that effectively with manufacturing. Really nice functionality. Why don't we have a quick look on that functionality right now?
Have the capping machine part, and it's the electrical package of it, and it corresponds to the mechanical world in SolidWorks. One of the sheets in the electrical package is the cable plan for the main harness to control the motor and gearbox, as well as some sensors. We can export this information and import it into SolidWorks. The routing methodology that we want to use is the start from to list, and then open up the XML file which IIIWireworks has exported. SolidWorks will automatically look up all the corresponding components that work with the E3 project and allow you to place them within the SolidWorks project. Here we can see that we have a duplicate. We don't want to place a new one, we want to use the existing one. That's very easy to do. We just have to select the radio button and then pick the component that is already part of our design. Let's place the rest of the components. We do like utilizing smart mates as we're working. Smart mates allow the components to snap into place without doing much work. Here we can just click on the sensor and see that they'll automatically snap into the most likely position. Snap on a couple more components. And then what we'll do is turn all of the logic from the IIIWireworks project into guidelines. These yellow guidelines will automatically guide us, if you will, where the wires should be routed from and to. This is where SolidWorks routing techniques come into play. We can automatically grab a couple guidelines, we can merge them, and then take the route and follow it through a bunch of clips. We can just continue clicking on the clips, and the route will continue along that path, making it very easy to calculate the length, and in order to calculate the interference around other components as well. Let's do the same thing for these sensors. Merge them together, and then reroute them through another clip. Just a couple more to do. Let's take this one, reroute through these clips, and take our last one and join it up as well. Now regular SolidWorks techniques can help us with some of the visualization, isolating this route for instance to see exactly what it looks like in the 3D space. It is really nice to see both projects open at the same time. Here we have our schematic layout of the cable plan and the actual 3D cable layout. Working with the two applications at once is just a quick key away in order to cross-highlight which connection corresponds to the connector within SolidWorks. Let's go pick another one. This connector corresponds to that guy, and this one corresponds to there. Very easy to use.
So that was great to see SolidWorks capturing the electrical route based on that logic. But how do we create the logic? Well, that's where IIIWireworks comes in. IIIWireworks has incredibly quick schematic tools for capturing either three-phase power or interconnection diagrams. The devices that we drag in automatically get designed tags. We can automatically interconnect mating connectors. Very quick to connect them using horizontal or group select and different techniques like that. The biggest power is about capturing that logic, and you can see that right within E3 on a connection logic report. So let's have a quick look at doing some of the schematic connections within IIIWireworks now.
Speed up creating these connections, such as a horizontal box connection, which will connect anything horizontally. We can also do a group selection, which allows us to go and bend corners with multiple selections, or stagger devices if we want to connect into something like a three-phase power. When working with system interconnections, such as cabling, that horizontal connection will automatically put the appropriate matching connector. With a similar fashion, we can use that group selection, can even invert the selection if we like, or leave it staggered, and can go and interconnect with another system. Last but not least is adding symbols in line. To add a circuit breaker, just select the circuit breaker symbol you want. In this case, this is a magnetic 3-pole circuit breaker, and by putting it in line with your connections, we'll automatically break the connections and add new ones. When moved to a different position, we'll see that they automatically move and follow the symbol around. One of the best parts about this, however, is not how quick it is to draw the connection, but is that it keeps track of every single pin connection in a table that can be used for reporting purposes and also used to generate other drawings like panels or cable diagrams. This functionality can do wonders for saving a designer time on both the front-end drawing and also the back-end reporting.
So that was great to see how quick it is to create electrical schematics with IIIWireworks, but it's really nice to communicate other types of views as well. So IIIWireworks, we can take that logic information and we can bring it over to SolidWorks, which is a great way to work, and the advantages we saw before about creating those lengths of wires and the space requirements. But we also, in a lot of cases, require documentation just electrically on how to manufacture those cables. That's where creating cable documentation really comes in. We can leverage the wires that are captured within E3, twisted pairs, shields, whatever it is. You can really accurately capture electrically what's happening in your design. And then we can take that design and we can produce other types of documentation, such as a cable report, a cable plan, manufacturing views of the different connectors. Let's have a look at some of that functionality right now, where we can see the twisted pairs and shielding and document that all right within those manufacturing views.
Based on the schematic. Here we can see that we have a schematic already complete, and all of the cores, including the documentation of these twisted pairs, is already done. We'll also notice an up-to-date bill of materials with quantities of wire lengths and quantities of components, as well as the required pin terminals. That can all be automated. In order to create a cable plan, what we want to do is go to the sheet where we want to create the cable plan, click on our wire harness, and simply place a new device view. We can select what type of view we want, whether we want the side profile or end profile of the connector, place it, and then start placing any other connectors that are called out as part of our cable plan. The logic from the schematic carries over to any cable plan. That's what these dotted lines are, so that really helps out knowing how we want to interconnect these devices. We can use straight connections or curved connections if we like. We can also create additional device views. Let's create a couple more device views to show the pin information of these connectors. We'll drop a table next to each individual connector, and we'll notice that the logic between the tables also carries forward. One thing I really enjoy is the fact that this table will have automatic referencing to where that pin shows up on our schematic. We can also see information such as the signal is associated between the table and the schematic, and a change made in one place, such as changing this to sensor 2, will be updated automatically in the other.
So that's great to see some of that functionality on the cabling front, both from within SolidWorks and within IIIWireworks. A lot of our clients, besides the cabling front, also have a lot of panel requirements. So the paneling is any devices that exist within some sort of control panel. Now we have an option here. We can capture that within SolidWorks in 3D mechanical environment, or we can capture that within the IIIWireworks environment. It's really up to you, and there's pros and cons of each one. We're happy to discuss what works best for you. But really the power is capturing that schematic and having that drive the electrical 3D panel regardless of where it resides. We can take the logic within E3 and bring it over to the E3 panel side. And there are some main advantages of doing it that way when it comes to mapping the interconnection between the schematic and that electrical panel, and even routing the wires amongst the devices within that electrical panel as well. We can really communicate that both in 3D and in the 2D environment and keep it up to date with the schematic very easily. Let's have a quick look at some of the functionality related to IIIWireworks using the schematic side and the E3 panel layout.
Panel design can be very easily managed in IIIWireworks. The schematic symbols and panel symbols are automatically kept linked with each other. With the click of a button, you can navigate to this contactor in the panel and similarly jump to the disconnect in the schematic. Let's add another rung of motor control by copy-pasting the previous one. All the devices that need to be placed in the panel are easily managed in this Panel Unplaced tab, which I like to refer to as a to-do list. You can just drag and drop the devices in the desired locations. And as you're placing these devices, E3 is guiding you by showing you these logic lines referenced from the schematics to optimize the panel design. In addition to that, E3 is constantly doing quality checks by not letting you place this contactor on the wrong rail, for example. E3 does not restrict you to making the schematics first. You can add a device directly in the panel, like the circuit breaker from our library. These are now available to be placed in the schematic at any time. There are additional tools like the panel autoconnect that you can use to automatically route your panel connections through these ducts via the shortest connection path, while keeping track of space in the ducts as well. If you like the idea of working in a 3D environment, you can even design your panels in 3D. And to top it all, giving you detailed reports to build your panels from with the click of a button. Panel symbols and schematic symbols are just different views of the same components in E3. Automatically keeping all the aspects of the design associated goes a long way in reducing the overall build times and errors.
Now that we've had a chance to examine some of the cabling design and some of the panel design, I want to share with you some of the techniques involved with communicating this electrical design with manufacturing. So there's a variety of options with communicating this electrical design with manufacturing. When it comes to SolidWorks side and the cabling, you can see this image up here at the top is a flattened cable view. So when you do a 3D route within SolidWorks, we can flatten that out and create drawings right within SolidWorks that are very clear to manufacture some of these cable harnesses. We can also create, from the E3 diagrams, we can create intelligent PDFs. That's a great way to see some of the capabilities here. So this video that's going on right here, we can see that the hyperlinks show up between the electrical schematic views. We can navigate around them, and we can even navigate to spec sheets as well. That's a really handy way to bundle together information and provide it to the manufacturing floor or to your suppliers. But last but not least, we do want to leverage the E3 design environment to communicate with manufacturing. It does come with a free viewer of E3 that we can put out on the shop floor that you can open up the native E3 application files. Nice thing about that is navigating around and seeing the exact wiring and route that's recommended through the ducting. I have a quick video I'm going to share with you now on that front, so let's have a look at this one.
Improving manufacturing techniques is an excellent way to increase overall efficiency and reduce costs as well as time to market. IIIWireworks is a completely associative design environment within which finding components and their different parts in the design can be done with just one click. With a live bill of materials, everything in your design is accounted for and listed very clearly. E3 has some amazing search functionalities as well, be it searching for devices, cables, wires, or signals. In this case, all instances of signal L1 in the design are highlighted and a list is automatically generated which can be used to navigate to the desired locations. With a little custom work, you can have the manufacturing department work off a list. For example, an Excel sheet to highlight the wires and their routes in the panel. All the information required for connecting these wires can be made available very easily. You can highlight point-to-point connections, or if you have daisy-chained the wires, they can be highlighted together so you can see the entire route based on the signal they carry. Tracing each line on a piece of paper can be time-consuming and error-prone on the shop floor. With IIIWireworks, you can take manufacturing to the next level by providing your team the right tools for the right job.
So now that we've seen the full design process, right from electrical schematic design, capturing the mechanical interface within SolidWorks, and also communicating both electrical and mechanical with the shop floor, I want to talk on a few other points that are worth sharing on the IIIWireworks application as well. One of my favorite capabilities is the modular design reuse. There's fantastic capabilities when it comes to reusing E3 project files and using checkboxes and radio buttons to drive a new design. Really nice aspect about it is the capability of updating automatically the bill of materials, the electrical schematic, and the panel views. All the views related to your electrical design get updated off a single checkbox or radio button. Just incredibly powerful stuff. And this allows you to very easily reuse sections of design and put them into new projects. Great functionality. Another great capability I wanted to share with you is using the E3 tool for schematic design outside of electrical. So we can use the schematic tool for doing process schematics, hydraulic schematics, and even pneumatic schematics. Those environments can be associated together within the E3 design environment, but they can also be leveraged in order to drive the SolidWorks design environment. If you need the process piping or hydraulic hosing within the SolidWorks environment, we have the ability to leverage those schematics and import them in SolidWorks using the PNID import. This can be an incredibly powerful technique to keep those design environments associated, but also allow us to increase the quality of our mechanical design and communicate that in 3D both to manufacturing and out to suppliers. Really great techniques in order to bring those environments together. Let's have a quick look at a video that I created for a webinar not too long ago on some of those capabilities and how those systems integrate.
IIIWireworks can be used to do process schematics as well as hydraulic and pneumatic. When you're doing process schematics, instead of using electrical devices, we can use mechanical devices such as tanks or valves. These can be dragged from the E3 library to go and create devices in your schematic environment and assign tags. Connections can be drawn easily between them, and items can be placed in line as well, such as a valve being placed in line on the connection. The logic is captured within IIIWireworks, and this logic can be exported out in a format that SolidWorks can understand. We have the ability of leveraging the PNID export from E3 and importing it within SolidWorks to place the devices within the SolidWorks environment. This is a very wizard-based system. We have the ability to place them in line or select the ones that are already in our design. The logic carries over from E3 and it shows up as dotted lines within the SolidWorks environment. We call these guidelines, and they can easily be used to convert into piping or hydraulic hosing. In this piping environment, you can see that we can just click on them and create a pipe and select what axes do we want to go through. Similar design methodologies can be used within the hydraulic environment. In this case, we're using hydraulic valves that are electrically controlled, and we can keep the electrical symbols and the hydraulic symbols linked together. When they're placed in the hydraulic design, we have the ability to link it up with other hydraulic components, such as cylinders. Those cylinders and the hydraulic valves can easily be connected together, and again, the logic can be captured and transferred over to the SolidWorks environment where we can do hydraulic hosing design. This design process has the ability to streamline your design as well as communicate the 3D design to both the manufacturing environment and your suppliers.
And last but definitely not least is the reporting environment for IIIWireworks and SolidWorks. Both systems have the ability to capture the electrical components and mechanical components that are represented in those design environments and produce reports from them. So we can produce reports such as connection reports, cable pull lists, bill of materials is a big one as well. And we have systems in place that we can combine those bill of materials in systems like Enterprise PDM for revision management. But most importantly, it doesn't require manual work. It's all one button push, and we can generate reports that can drive other aspects of your business. Just incredibly powerful stuff, and definitely a noteworthy thing to mention because it really saves an enormous amount of time and really improves quality out on the back end of your design process. Well, I hope you enjoyed this overview of some of the main capabilities of the IIIWireworks and SolidWorks functionality and how they have the ability to work together both on the electrical and process side. I think what I'd like to do from here is have you review some of this other material that's available for download, and then we can sit together afterwards and we can decide what are the right combinations of tools to map out your design process. Thanks very much for attending, and I look forward to talking with you soon.